My name is Paul Gibson. This is my wife Sherry, and this past summer we experienced a trial that came up unexpectedly. During the spring of 2012, this past year, I was experiencing a lot of gradual symptoms of energy loss. Noticed a lot of swelling in my lower extremities, ankles and feet. On June the 6th, we had a doctor's appointment with the hematologist, and up to that, about a week before that, I didn't even know what a hematologist was, but he diagnosed me with a rare blood disease called amyloidosis, and basically it's like an 8 in a million chance to get the disease. And what it does, it basically gets into blood system, into large organs, and causes damage. And it had already gotten into my kidney and was causing some damage there. And you know, there's no cure for it, but it's treatable. And the doctor told us that afternoon. And so one of the first things that we did when we left the office was
pray.
Yeah.
Well, they tell us these are your options. You can go to the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota and be there for a while. And he mentioned a stem cell transplant and just some of the complications of this disease. And we just had so much to decide, and we just looked at our doctor and said, well, we have a lot to pray about, and walked out of there a little dazed. And still remember, it was raining. Went outside, got in the car, and just started to pray right then and there. Prayed for strength to tell our kids and explain to our parents, and just prayed for the grace of God and for peace. And He gave it to us.
The next day, we set up an appointment with Pastor John and some of the elders in the church. And you know, as James 5 tells us that if you're sick, to be prayed over. And so we set that up, and man, just what a powerful experience it was, and just feeling the presence of the Lord through that prayer time was powerful. Later on that afternoon, we were allowed to get into the Mayo Clinic for the middle of July, which was an answer to prayer. Immediately that we got in, and they scheduled a stem cell transplant. The prayers and the outpouring of support from our church, from our friends, and from the community was another source of strength. Countless times, I've come across people that have asked, how are you getting through this? How are you doing? Or they'll tell you that they're praying for you, and I tell them that we're feeling it.
Mm-hmm. And being in Minnesota, for the stem cell transplant, we had to be there for an extended period of time. I think it was a total of 5 weeks, And you think, I have to be away from home and friends and family, and how are we going to do that? But being there, it was Paul and me and God. And there were no distractions. And so that time of prayer was everything to us. Everything about this journey has been about prayer. From the very first response was that we prayed, and then going to church and they prayed over us. And even that night, the night after, 24 hours later, I guess, friends from our church and from our community had a prayer vigil. And then on the day that we had our first appointment, I remember getting a text that said, I just want you to picture now legions of prayer warriors going before you as you walk into that appointment.
On November the 28th, we went back up to Rochester, Minnesota for a 100-day checkup, and found out that the amyloid was not in full remission. It was just in partial remission. So came back and they started us on another chemotherapy cycle.
When we went back for that checkup, that's not what we wanted to hear. We didn't want to hear that it wasn't in full remission. But then God shows up again and gives you that peace. And it just reminded me that He is the same God that was there for us in June. God is still on the throne and still in charge, and it takes away that worry, it takes away that fear.
So, right now we're, as we speak, we're in the process of chemotherapy treatment and steroid treatment. And so, the prayers that we relied upon to get us through the summer and the stem cell transplants, we're still relying on today.
It feels so good to trust in exactly what God said, to cast all your cares upon Him. He's God, and He can handle it.
I probably feel as weak and sick, I guess, than I've ever felt in my life, physically. There's frustration and difficulties, but spiritually, the fullness and the power and the peace that I feel is more than I've ever had in my life.